shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 23rd day of July 2018. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are deciding to staycation here in the Cayman Islands as opposed to traveling overseas with your families, especially your young children who are on their summer break as well. So I trust that everyone enjoyed whatever they have done over the weekend. No rain. The temperatures have been really, really high, so you want to ensure that when you're out there, you keep yourself well hydrated, as well as try to stay in the shade as much as possible to avoid any effects from the rays of the sun, including, the possibility of getting skin cancer and all of those other things as well. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. Normally, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, you can email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. We also have a WhatsApp number. That WhatsApp number is 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note. Don't expect anyone to answer that number. If you leave us a voice note, then the contents of that voice note will be played during the course of the show as well. And of course, you can subscribe to Radio Cayman live stream, where you can follow us on YouTube as well. We're expecting to have some government guests in the studio with us. They're not here yet, and it is quite possible that they may be figuring that they're starting here at 8 o'clock as opposed to 7:30. So meanwhile, we will have open mic where we will talk to you. I noticed over the weekend, Sunday in particular, that Department of Environmental Health staff were out on the road, or refuge collection trucks were on the road as well. Guys are getting some overtime, and persons who have complained about the garbage situation are having their concerns addressed by the ministry as well. Not sure how long before they are back on schedule with the pickups, but my understanding is that it is quite possible that there may be some adjustments to the shift schedule, and if that adjustment takes place, then we may see them getting back to their schedule. I am also made to understand that there is more rapport between management and staff, including drivers, including those guys who you see standing up on the back of on the rear of the garbage trucks as well. So as long as they're communicating and one side is understanding the concerns of the other side, that is a good sign as well. So I feel real confident that at some point in time, this whole garbage situation will be resolved as well. I'm also made to understand that there may be some changes in terms of the garbage trucks. Maybe some that are over in Cayman Brac will be brought over to Grand Cayman as well. There may be some exchange there. Whatever needs to be done, it should be done, because we went from a situation where we had no problems as far as garbage collection was concerned, and then all of a sudden it became a problem. We need to look at that time and that place when these problems started to surface and say to ourselves, what happened? Why did it happen? How can we remedy it as well? That's what the technocrats are there for. We need to know what's happening with the Director of Environmental Health, who is on extended leave. We need to find out what's going to happen with the leadership within that particular department as well. We need to hear from government in that regard. We need to find out when we will get another governor in the Cayman Islands. Some of you will say, and I may be included in that group as well, we don't really need another governor to come here. And some may say, instead of a governor, we need a governor general. That's a discussion for another place and another time as well, because so many of our people are reluctant to talk about this right of self-determination and moving ourselves forward in the environment that we need to be in, where every person, every people are entitled and have the right to exercise their free will in terms of self-determination as well. So many things on the table. We see in the press the number of thefts that are taking place on our public beaches as well. Many of you will spend a lot of time on the public beaches, and we want, again, to alert you to the fact, be careful. Secure your personal properties, and I'm told that we have about 3 callers, so I'm going to very quickly say secure your personal properties. Even if you leave them in your car, you want to ensure that they're not where thieves can see them. There are too many opportunities on our beaches, and police seem to be doing a pretty good job. We need to have more plainclothes officers out there acting just like they're beachgoers themselves, and a lot of surveillance in that regard. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good.
That conch soup was good. You did a good job.
Thank you. Did you go to East End yesterday riding?
Oh, yes.
Wow. What you thought about the garbage?
Well, I'm trying to remember. No, it was further down in the Bordentown area that I heard the garbage trucks, but I assumed that they were working their way towards East End.
Well, this is minutes to 2 o'clock yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And when I hit East End, I could not believe the garbage on the side of the roads, left side, right side, as I continued going up to the Morris Tortuga. I mean, we got to bring back that garbage twice a week. And I say we need to keep this garbage in our backyard until these guys tell us when they're coming out. We got too much media going on not to know when they're coming. There's no excuse not to tell us, hey, we are coming tomorrow. Put your garbage forward.
Yes.
It has to stop, OC. It is a disgrace to the human race throughout this whole island. I don't know how we're going to fix it, but this is the worst I've ever seen garbage in Cayman. I would say in the last 8 to almost a year that this thing been going on, and it's like it's not getting no better. They claim they can do better and so forth. I hope they do better because they're not only for tourism, but for us that live here. We don't know what kind of disease we're going to get from this garbage in the future. I just leave that with you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. And I must say that based on what I'm hearing, that the temporary management that we have in place are certainly doing their best to cover it. They're looking at the shift system, I believe. They're looking at restoring one of the shifts. They're getting a better understanding of the concerns of the staff, especially those who are out there during the course of the day. And we have to appreciate what those drivers and sidemen go through during the course of the day as well. You know, we know how it is with the heat out there, and they have to endure the same thing for $10 an hour, $11 an hour. It's not easy. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm well. And you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, good. So I'm just reading in on 2 points that you're talking about this morning. You spoke about the garbage situation, then you spoke about the governor. The garbage situation, there had to be something that went inherently wrong. And as usual, always seek to do in this country is to use someone as the fall guy. And it's normally the poor directors that are used as the fall guys, and we don't look above them. But sometimes you have to look above the directors of these organizations within government.
Precisely.
And you know, I can't see how the director would sit there and allow his department to go to such extremes. We don't know the full, and as always in Cayman, there is one thing that we're good at, and that is covering up and not telling the public. This is the only country in the world that takes public funds, use them, pay people off, can't tell you what they paid them, refuse to tell you what they paid them, and at the end of the day, it is the public funds that they're using. You know, I mean, I don't understand it. This is the talk about transparency. Man, we're just as transparent as mud in Cayman. We are just as transparent as mud in Cayman. Now we just go to the governor. After reading not many, but 2 articles of recent. Now, I understand no way they would want to get rid of him. I understand why they would want to get rid of him, because he was going to shake up and he was going to, finally we had a governor that was going to make sure that the civil service did what they had to do. He was removing the red tape. He was ensuring that services was going to get, people would be satisfied with services, and he was going. It was clear by the articles I read, he will get rid of deadbeat civil servants, and we got a lot of them. Let's stop kidding ourselves. And they're not the ones by the desk that is writing the receipt for you. It is those that are high, yes, very very high. Yes. Yes. So he was going to get rid of some of them, that's why they got together and let's get rid of the guy.
Yeah, it seems that way based on what's starting to emerge now in terms of documentation. It does appear that he wanted to have his hand on the civil service. He wanted to make them more accountable. He wanted to get rid of some of the red tape that we have in government, and there's still lots of that there as well.
That is correct. But you see, I know that there are those out there, the pundits who don't like what I'm saying. Well, you might like the messenger, but the message is true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay? So I hope that they would bring him back. I hope they would bring him back, because then we'll get something started in our country that we needed to for the last 30 years, you know? Anyway, thanks a lot for the time you're giving me, and you have a good day.
Thank you very much, caller, and thanks for your comments as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. We have one more call. We're asking that caller to hang in there. Quick commercial break. When we return, we will take your call.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the historical vignette series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
By the 1900s, the people of the Sister Islands had developed a reputation of being profound shipbuilders, as well as some of the best seamen and navigators around the area. Reverend H.W. Rutty attributed this success to the Sister Islands' first regular school teacher, a castaway named William Johnston. Johnston settled in Cayman Brac in 1863 and taught navigation, as well as the 3 R's, not only to young pupils, but to grown men as well. By 1908, the Sister Islands were home to 21 master mariners, as well as 15 skilled shipwrights.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Why rush around paying bills when you can pay most of your bills online? Cayman National offers an extensive list of service providers. Visit CaymanNational.com and log on to our personal or business online banking systems. Not an online banking customer? Contact their customer support team on 949-8300 for more information.
Are you kidding me?
What's wrong?
I ran out of my meds and I have an interview in about an hour.
Why not call CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy? They'll be able to help.
You think so?
Absolutely. Their pharmacists are brilliant for fast, efficient and professional service.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Call us today or visit our website at CaymanPharmacy.com.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah, and they have lots of cars on sale, some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore. Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All-Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Did you know that improperly packaged garbage can cause injury to DEH garbage collection crews? Help preserve the health of our collectors by ensuring that your household garbage container weighs no more than 40 pounds when full and has proper handles to facilitate easy lifting. Avoid placing broken glass, syringes, or other sharp items with your regular household garbage. Instead, dispose of these items at the 24-hour drop-off site located at the entrance of the Georgetown landfill. Do your part. keep our communities clean, and our collectors safe. For more tips on proper waste handling, visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guest in the studio with me yet. We're hoping to have our guests on maybe after the 8 o'clock news. In the meantime, the conversation will continue with our most important individuals, and those are our viewers and our listeners. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning and happy Monday, Mr. Connor. How are you doing today?
I am fine, Mr. Brown. How's the weather in one of our sister islands?
On Cayman Brac, it's slightly overcast. I'm calling from the Stake Bay Point area. It's overcast and a nice cool breeze blowing, even though at times it is humid. It is the summer. What can I say?
Great.
Well, I wish you a happy Monday. Start of the week for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Quincy Brown here. And I think your previous caller makes salient points with what's happening with our governor who's been recalled to the United Kingdom. It seems from the minutes and from the meetings he was attending, as our governor, he really got involved with head of department meetings where chief officers attend. And he was wanting to see fast change in terms of cutting back on bureaucracy, seeing that this culture of lackadaisicalness, if I can use that term, on the parts of some civil servants were lackadaisical, not all. Those were deadbeat. And, your previous caller really hit the point. And it seems then, if this is the clear message written on the wall, perhaps some of these other things that's alleged are fabricated then. The drunken argument, the shirtless massage. I mean, if he stepped on too many toes and offended the powers that be, they would want to root him out. But now you have another sector of the community saying what he was doing was good. He was proactive. You're no longer hearing the talk about, he's Muslim, he's non-white, he's not your traditional British governor. All that is squashed now.
Yes.
You have people saying he should come back because he was doing a good thing. Isn't it all fascinating, though? And reading the minutes, which is now public knowledge. See?
I agree. I agree, caller.
You also said, you can call my name Mr. Connor.
Sure, Quincy. Yeah.
That's standard to say Connor, I know. But everybody knows who it is, and I don't have a problem identifying myself either. Why is this reluctance for internal self-governance? If you read the book From Island Girl to National Hero, the story, the biography of our national hero, the only one who's alive, Sybil McLaughlin, the Honorable, she was made the first speaker in these islands, and there was a reluctance.
Yes.
Who surrounded her at the time because they thought, well, why our own? And until we can see that we need to be more believing in our own and supporting our own, we are not going to get very far as a people, as a race, as a country. To talk about a governor general, but we won't see one of those until we receive our independence.
Yes.
Because a native person to hold the position of governor general, that comes after independence. Let's look around at other territories who've chosen to go that path. Mr. Connor, I also would like to invite persons on Cayman Brac to the show I'm having this weekend. Brac Company, we're having a variety concert with storytelling and some dramatic skits, but also some good inspirational gospel music.
Great.
It happens at the Aston Ratty Civic Center on the Brac this Saturday night at 7:30. Pastor Tom French is the master of ceremonies. It's Quincy and friends, and I have a lot of friends here on the Brac and Grand Cayman joining me on stage. It should be good. Thanks for giving
Quincy,
me
make sure you send that to our bulletin board here at Radio Cayman as well, so that they can cover that, repeat it for you as well. But and I also want to say that your question, your rhetorical question in relation to self-determination, what we cannot dismiss, Quincy, is the 100 and odd years of colonialism that we endured and what it does to our psyche, to our mentality. You would think that after a few generational changes that the thinking would be the same. But as long as we continue to have the same type of thinking in terms of our political leadership, we're not going to see any move forward as far as the right to self-determination. Yes, we will have these bumps along the road like we're having now with the UK on the beneficial registry and stuff like that. But unfortunately, those little bumps are not rough enough to really propel us forward. I think Quinn says, you're there.
No, I'm still here listening to every word you're saying, Mr. Connor. And it's doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And it's not going to happen. And, you know, our good friend and learned scholar, the Honorable Dr. Roy Bodden, he's always said that in the 1960s, Cayman opted for voluntary colonialism. Voluntary in the sense that we could have gone with Jamaica if Ormond Panton, national hero, had his way. We would have gone with Jamaica, a nationalist approach to becoming independent and determining our own. But we opted to become a colony. Now, decolonization, that takes on a different argument. We talk about being a dependent territory. But we opted to remain with Great Britain. And if we are to look at colonialism, the good and the bad, we don't talk about the negative aspects of it, you see, because it's something we don't want to talk about. And as you said, how it affects our psyche, our very way of thinking. And this is some of the reasons why we don't believe in our own. If you come from foreign, you're better than somebody who comes from down the street. And the history of slavery and the history of pigmentocracy in our society, color of skin. Yes. I mean, it's deep-seated, and to not talk about it will perhaps we still make it go away. I mean, why talk about black history? Why? Because we don't talk about white history. Why don't we all call ourselves Caymanian instead of native and expatriate? So we have a culture of not wanting to talk about things, but then there's always an underlying issue there. And I don't know, perhaps I look at the Marshall Islands. I had to do a little research on them. They're independent, a bunch of islands not far away from Hawaii, well, quite a distance from Hawaii, probably closer to the Philippines. Why is it we fear the notion of going politically independent? Why is it we fear it? I mean, we talk about we'll have to have our own army, our own defense. I mean, we have our own currency, for goodness sake. As if we want our cake, and we want a cake, we want to eat our cake and have it too. I mean, we've made steps over the years to become our own, but we just don't want to cut ties with Mother England. And I think some of the reason is because we look at what we perceive to be countries that have failed post-independence instead of looking at countries that have done exceedingly well post-independence. I believe in my people, I believe that we can do this by preparing our people and by rolling up our sleeves and doing the necessary work to make our nation our own. The leader of the opposition, the Honorable Ezra Miller, always says that he is a nationalist. I'm here to say we cannot be colonialist and nationalist at the same time.
Yeah, you fish or fowl.
God save the Queen, but oh Lord, please bless the Cayman Islands and the people therein who still struggle and grapple with who is Caymanian in 2018. We still haven't figured that out yet. Ghost Caymanian, paper Caymanian, born and bred Caymanian. So it's like what the French, I think the French got it together, and you know who won the World Cup. Did Africa win the World Cup, or did the French win the... So you see, it's integration and assimilation, and we've got to stop this notion of people from the 135 nationalities that we find here. Their heart is back in their country of origin. Well, you can't change that because they came here as adults. Now, their children that are born here and growing up here, they're going to be a part of the Caymanian fabric. I understand that. But we need to understand what it is to be Caymanian.
Quincy, I'm going to ask you to leave us there. Thank you very much. And don't forget, get that information to our bulletin board for your event that is taking place as well. Folks, we're going to take a break for our 8 o'clock news. I will make some calls to find out about the guests who are supposed to be on here. And if we will have no guests, I will let you know so that we can continue the conversation on the various topics, many of them to discuss as well. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Heading for a swim at the beach? Well, you better not leave your valuables up on your towel while you take the plunge. Police are seeing a lot of beach thefts. Over the past 2 weeks, officers have responded to a number of reports of thefts from beaches while people go into the water and leave their belongings on shore. Then they're snatched up and stolen. Most of these thefts have occurred in the 7 Mile Beach area, including Public Beach, Governor's Beach, and Cemetery Beach. In 2 cases on July 12th, arrests have been made. Police say one in which a man and a woman were looking into several bags on the beach near the West End and subsequently arrested. In another case, it was a man who was seen attempting to place someone else's bag into the one he was carrying. He was also arrested. The man and woman in the first instance have both been charged with criminal trespass and attempted theft and appeared in court on July 19th. The most recent case occurred on July 17th, where 2 people at Governor's Beach had personal items and some cash stolen from a bag they left on shore while swimming. In the meantime, the police are strongly advising the public not to leave valuables unattended on the beach. Try to have at least one person stay on shore with belongings when swimming. If alone, consider purchasing a waterproof pouch in which you can place your keys and wallet and take in the water, and leave your valuables locked in the car wherever possible and out of sight. Cayman Connection United Kingdom organizers host a special event for Caymanians who either permanently or temporarily are living, studying, or working in the UK. The event was held locally for those who are currently studying overseas and are home for the summer break, or for those who are planning to make the move to the UK soon. CC UK Lead Ambassador David Ramsaran.
Introducing people from the Cayman Islands to what it's going to be like living in the UK and going to university in the UK. So we tell them about the different culture changes that you can expect and try and make life as easy as possible.
Mr. Ramsaran tells CIG-TV the students were taught things like which apps would be useful to help them navigate life in the UK and how to set up a bank account. Kimberly Wood is a local law student.
I don't have any family in the UK, so I've heard that people have went to the UK before and they were able to contact people in the network and they stayed with them, or they had like lunch, or they just had someone to be around and not feel lonely. And I'm actually thinking to go and have a visit, so it'll be nice to be able to connect with someone in the group.
The event was held at the South Sound Community Center. And beside making connections, those in attendance were able to network and learn more about CCUK and the Cayman Islands Office of the United Kingdom, which is now working on a major campaign to find relatives of those who first settled in the Cayman Islands. CIG-TV's Donna Bush reports.
One of the 2 first settlers was a Welshman called Walter, and that name is said to have morphed into Watler. Well, on Wednesday, local and American members of the Watler and Walters families were out ready to meet new relatives and make the connection to the United Kingdom.
Grandfather is from Cayman, so he died before I was born, and my father was really young, so we've always wanted to know about our history here in Great Cayman. It's been very fun for me and rewarding for me to learn and research my history here on Grand Cayman and to find all my ancestors here too. I'm really excited because I do like going to the UK, and my daughter is worked in Scotland for a while, so it was kind of exciting for us to find out that we had a connection to the UK. And through our DNA research, now we know for sure that we are connected to UK, so I would love to go there and start researching my family in the UK in the future as well.
The search for relatives of Cayman's first settlers is part of a campaign to raise the awareness, knowledge, and understanding of the 360-year relationship that exists between the Cayman Islands, Cornwall, and Wales specifically, and Britain as a whole. Now, Cayman Islands representative of the UK, Mr. Eric Bush, says We have a great story to tell, and we want to use this to educate more people about the Cayman Islands, our history, where we've come from, and our national identity. It will allow us to connect to new audiences whilst instilling a greater sense of national pride at home.
And now with a check of international news, here's the BBC who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Kathy Clugston. Britain has abandoned its objections to the United States applying the death penalty in the case of two notorious British Islamist militants captured by US-backed Syrian forces in January. The pair, members of a gang known as the Beatles because of their British accents, are accused of murdering Western hostages in Syria. A military base in southern Somalia has been attacked by Islamist militants. Al-Shabaab said 27 soldiers were killed in the raid. The Somali government hasn't yet commented on the attack. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
It's Pure Soul Talk, 7 a.m. on Sunday mornings with Spirit Biz 345. This is a radio segment that's fresh and new, it's non-denominational and fun, it's spiritual and motivational. Plus, you don't need to dress up or even to help pay into my building fund. Spirit Biz 345, about my Father's business. Listen in 7 a.m. Sundays, here and worldwide via streaming and on Facebook. God bless.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
In financial news, world markets were mixed today as trade tensions hogged the headlines following a weekend meeting of financial leaders of the group of 20 industrial nations. Keeping score, Germany's DAX fell 0.1% at 12,545, and France's CAC 40 was down 0.3% at 5,381 today. Britain's FTSE 100 dropped 0.4% to 7,649 after Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab suggested that the country might not pay its £39 billion divorce bill if it fails to ready a trade agreement with the European Union. U.S. indexes were set for a flat opening. S&P 500 futures fell 0.1% to 2,799. Dow futures also fell 0.1% to 25,015. Looking at Asia's day, Japan's Nikkei 225 tumbled 1.3% to 22,396, and South Korea's Kospi dropped 0.9% to 2,269. Hong Kong's Hang Seng added 0.1% to 28,256. The Shanghai Composite Index gained 1.1% to 2,859, recouping Friday's sharp losses. Australia's S&P ASX 200 fell 0.9% to 6,227. In currencies, the U.S. dollar fell sharply after Trump claimed countries were manipulating their currencies. It extended its loss today, easing to 111.11 yen from 111.42. The euro fell to 1.1704 from 1.1724. In energy, benchmark U.S. crude added 28 cents to $68.54 per barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange. On Friday, the contract settled at $68.26 a barrel. Brent crude used to price international oils rose 45 cents to $73.52.
The Cayman Contractors Association would like to urge all contractors to register for the Builders Law by completing the application process. The application is online at www.planning.gov.ky. or the form can be collected from the planning department. Do not miss the July 31st deadline and be unable to pull a permit for your job. Ensure your company is licensed, as the public wants to hire licensed contractors. Join the Cayman Contractors Association and stay current on code courses, training, and industry news. The Cayman Contractors Association, building a better Cayman.
We are in the hurricane season, and knowing what to do after a hurricane can be as important as preparing for the storm. After the passage of a hurricane, seek medical attention if it is needed at hospitals and clinics for those persons who are injured. Do not touch power lines and cables that are down. They may be active. Report them to 911 or the utilities emergency hotlines. Broken tree limbs should be removed from around homes or buildings if possible. This hurricane information has been brought to you by Breeze FM and Radio Cayman.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings. Babe, not tonight. I need to be rested for all-day meetings tomorrow.
What are you talking about? I was almost asleep.
You keep poking me, and I can't sleep.
That's the mattress spring I keep telling you about. Not me. We really need to get a new mattress.
Tossing and turning, back hurting, can't sleep? It might be time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Browse the huge mattress showroom at Brand Source Home Gallery and pick the perfect mattress today. With mattresses to suit every budget, Brand Source Home Gallery stocks a wide selection of sizes and styles like pillow top and gel memory foam. So stop tossing and turning and sleep better tonight with a new mattress from Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Pleasant good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 91%. The barometric pressure 29.95 inches and rising. The winds are calm. Overnight low temperature was 80. Synopsis indicate light northerly winds and smooth to slight seas expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a pressure gradient remains weak across the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving west. Forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures will rise to the low 90s. Winds will be northerly at 5 knots or less, and seas will be smooth to slight with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Tonight we can expect mainly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the upper 70s. Winds will be light and variable at 5 knots or less, and seas will be smooth to slight with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 1:36, high tide tonight at 8:16. The sun will set this evening at 3 minutes after 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning.
Update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Good morning once again, and time now to take a look what's happening on our roads. Steady but flowing traffic on Cool Road. Traffic is also steady on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, and moderate flow of traffic in and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road, and moderate flow of traffic as well on Edward Street in front of the Georgetown Post Office. Traffic is light coming from the West Bay four-way stop, Shamrock Road, and on the Linford Pearson Highway. On Shamrock Road, traffic flowing moderately, and as you approach the Linford Pearson Highway, steady but flowing traffic. And traffic is steady but flowing as well on Huldah Avenue, Elgin Avenue, moderate flow of traffic. Thomas Russell Avenue, traffic flowing moderately. And that's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 as we update you on what's happening on your roads. Have a wonderful morning and drive safe, Cayman Islands.
Attention construction industry. Get affordable builders public liability and workmen's compensation insurance today with FIS Insurance Brokers, offering combined annual premiums starting as low as $700. Policies are required for registration with the Cayman Islands Builders Board. Contact FIS Insurance Brokers today for full details and to sign up for your policies ahead of the Builders Board deadline on July 31st. Call FIS Insurance Brokers on 623-5616.
Missing the deadline will require applicants to sit mandatory board examinations.
Would you like to reduce household waste and to save money? Take a look at the many items in your home that can be reused. Food scraps and yard waste make up 25 to 30% of household garbage, but can be composted instead. Reuse glass jars and containers as storage containers. Repair old furniture and appliances where possible. Preserve landfill space and the environment. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about waste reduction, please visit DEH at deh.gov.ky.
And just to let you know, for the record with your host, Orrett, we'll continue just after the sports report.
In local sports, Cayman remains hopeful to medal at the CAC Games despite mixed results so far. Radio Cayman's Andrel Harris has the details.
After 4 days and 3 rounds of competition, Cayman sailors are seeing mixed results. Alina Rankin has maintained her 8th place rank in the women's single-handed laser division, while Shane McDermott remains in 10th place and Jesse Jackson in 12th place for the men's single-handed laser division. On the squash courts, Cayman's women's and mixed doubles teams have made it to the semi-final rounds, where they hope to medal against their Mexican counterparts. The men's doubles team was not as fortunate and did not make it to the semi-final rounds. In gymnastics, Cayman's Reagan Rutty secured a 7.750 score in the women's uneven bars. Rutty was originally slated to compete in 3 other events, however an injury caused her to withdraw from them. Reporting from Barranquilla, Colombia, I'm Andrel Harris for Radio Cayman Sports.
In international sport, Arsenal midfielder Mesut Ozil has quit international football, citing the, quote, racism and disrespect he's faced in Germany over his Turkish roots. The 29-year-old was criticized after being photographed with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan at a London event in May. He says he received hate mail and threats and was being blamed for Germany's disappointing World Cup. He says, quote, I am a German when we win, but I'm an immigrant when we lose.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Orrett Connor. We have no guests in the studio this morning, and we won't have any for the duration of the show as well. So we will continue with the conversation with you, or listening and viewing audience. There are several things that I will be talking about. I want to get back to Quincy Brown's point about the lack of confidence in our own people, and some of the examples that he gave to that demonstrated that years ago and still continues today as well. I want to also talk a little bit about the Cuban migrant situation. Only recently, I think last week, the U.S. Coast Guard on the northern side of Cuba picked up, I think it may have been 70-something or Cuban migrants on a boat. They were returned. The figures there showed that the numbers of persons, Cuban migrants picked up by the U.S. Coast Guard has dipped considerably, and that, of course, has a lot to do with the U.S.'s abandonment of the wet foot, dry foot policy. Also may have something to do with the situation in Cuba as well. I want to talk a little bit about that also, talk about the Cuba's new constitution that will be put out for public consultation. It will be put out for public consultation and then voted upon as well. I want to talk about an issue in Jamaica, where recently news came out that Jamaica had issued, I think it may have been 15 or more work permits for plumbers to be employed in Jamaica, foreign plumbers to be employed in Jamaica. And Jamaicans see that almost as a slap in the face to Jamaicans who have such expertise as well. So many things we want to talk about. One important one that I want to talk about now, though, is our electoral process. And there's an article in one of the Bermuda newspapers, the Royal Gazette, in relation to the One Bermuda Alliance, which was the previous administration, and the PLP, the Progressive Labour Party, which is the current administration, and the former administration's access to voter information prior to, I think, sometime in 2012, prior to their election. And as a former election official here in the Cayman Islands, working under the direct supervision of the supervisor of elections, Mr. Kearney Gomez, the preservation of voter information was something that we held quite dearly, the preservation of that. And there were many instances here in the Cayman Islands when we were bombarded by the two major political parties at that time, as well as individuals, for us to provide them with additional information in relation to voters' registration, which we refused to do because we had given a commitment when collecting that information from our registered voters that that information would not be divulged other than what was required to be on the register of electors, which basically is the person's name, occupation, and address. And in addition to that, there would be a computer-generated number on the register of voters, and that would be in sequential order as well. That was all we committed to providing to any political party or any person requesting that information. Now, we know that in this day and age, people are using as much information as possible to be able to analyze the voter base as well as to make contact with them. So we decided we would give no more information than that. It appears as if in Bermuda, the exact opposite took place. So again, I want to say to our registered voters here in the Cayman Islands, and now that we have data protection legislation as well, that makes it even more difficult and also makes it more important that we preserve voters' information. Let's talk about ballots. We continue to talk about the fact that we would like to see electronic voting taking place. We see the situation in the U.S. today where it is alleged, and evidence seems to point in that direction, that the Russian interests had the ability to hack in to voter information. It is my belief, only my belief, that the United States of America, the authorities there, are not telling us exactly. You're not getting all of the information. I do believe that votes may have been changed in the U.S., but it would create a constitutional crisis for the United States of America if at that time they were to reveal that simply because they would have been left in a lurch where you had an outgoing president on the 21st of January who would be leaving, and you would have no president-elect if this information had come out that the polls had been rigged, that the Russians had been able to infiltrate the computerized system and change the voting process. So here in the Cayman Islands, when we're talking about electronic voting, even though many people say, oh, we like the drama in terms of waiting for the count to come in from the various districts and the length of time it takes. Some people say, we need to have that quicker, and maybe the events of the last election in 2017 may bolster the position of some who say, we need it as quick as possible because of the length of time it actually took us to see a real government being formed. We had so many mutations of governments during that period of time. So some may say, well, maybe we do need these results quicker so if it takes us long to form a government, that we would have it there. If we do decide to go to electronic voting, one way of ensuring that every vote is preserved, that every vote is properly calculated, we need to ensure that in addition to you being able to vote electronically on a voting machine, that voting machine provides you with a receipt, a printed receipt of your vote, so that you can have that in hand to see that the vote that you cast is exactly the way that it is, because you have that receipt in hand. That is one of the considerations that is being looked at in the United States in terms of electronic voting as well. So we want to ensure that here. But just to summarize what I was saying, basically, number one, former supervisors of elections, as well as this current supervisor of elections here in the Cayman Islands, never provided any more information on a voter, or what our law refers to as an elector, other than what is on the register of electors. And that is the voter's registration number, name, occupation, and location, which is the person's address. Now, that does not prevent political operatives from taking those lists and manipulating them so that they can group people in terms of their various locations, various addresses. And there may not even be the need for that now when you think about it, because we're now, rather than being the whole district of Georgetown, the whole district of West Bay, the whole district of Bordentown, we're now broken down into single-member constituencies. So the need for that is even less. But just to say that here in the Cayman Islands, voter information has always been protected, and it will continue to be protected as well. Have enough time that I can switch topics, talking about lack of confidence in our own people. And as a result of that, we see many Caymanians not being put in positions of leadership. Let's start with not just the Speaker in our Legislative Assembly. Let's start with the presidency of the Legislative Assembly. That is before we had a Speaker. Remember, administrators were presidents of our Legislative Assembly. So they sat as God in the in the government house, and they sat as God in the Legislative Assembly. They decided policy in the government administration building, and they then sat and administered over the passing of legislation in our Legislative Assembly. Our people here in the Cayman Islands were more than happy with a British appointed, British administrator sitting and making those decisions for us. But we were not comfortable. We did not want one of our own in our Legislative Assembly as the Speaker, ensuring that the government has its way while protecting the interest of the opposition and those not in government at that time. We had no confidence in that up until the 1990s. I think it may stand to be corrected. I haven't researched this, and I haven't read it in a long time, but somewhere around about 1992, when we had our first speaker of our Legislative Assembly, and that first speaker was not a politician, but someone chosen from outside of the Legislative Assembly. And of course, that was our national hero, the Honourable Sybil McLaughlin as well. But it took us a long, long time to get there. Long time. And as it has proven, it has worked well. It has worked well. We're going to take a commercial break. We have a few callers as well. And we're going to take those calls as soon as we return from this commercial break.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
A pharmacy is where you go for medicine and for the pharmacist's advice on how to take them. Here at CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, our pharmacists are trusted health professionals whose job is to help people receive the best results out of their medicine. They know exactly what's in your prescriptions and will be happy to answer any of your questions. You can be sure that our pharmacists will see that your medicine is at the right strength, in the right dose, and will check that you yourself know how to take them or use them properly. Come in today for a consultation with our pharmacist at CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly! And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio this morning, so we have open mic. We want to hear from you. I want to remind you of our numbers. Our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. Put it on speed dial. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. You can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. And you can live stream us. Follow us on YouTube, Radio Cayman live stream as well. I said to you I was going to mention about the situation in Cuba. We're going to start talking about the migrant situation. Here in Cayman, the news was that as a result of protestations, demonstrations with those asylum seekers who were in detention, that I believe 3 of them now have been released in the community with monitoring bracelets on them or anklets on them as well. Some of you may see that as the government capitulating to the demands of the Cuban migrants. Some of you will say that if they were in Cuba, they would not be able to make such demands. And I would say to you that they're not in Cuba now; they're here in the Cayman Islands, and we have laws here that protect everyone. And they fall under those laws, so they are entitled to the protection of the laws here in the Cayman Islands as well, despite how we feel and what we think that they may or may not be able to do in Cuba as well. We can talk more about whether or not they're political refugees or they're simply economic migrants looking for better economic opportunities elsewhere as well. And that discussion can take place also. Meanwhile, we will take the callers that we have. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning, Lucy. Lucille Simon
Good
here.
morning, Miss Lucille. How are you?
How are you? How does it feel talking to yourself?
Oh, I was saying the other day that when I first started this show, was it about 4 years ago now, that I would be extremely nervous, and I would, despite the fact that I would had guest schedule, I would do so much research to make sure that if no one showed up, that I had something to talk about.
Oh, that's good.
I'm comfortable in my own skin now, and not a problem with it whatsoever. Not a problem.
Oh, that's great. Well, I just wanted to add to the point where you spoke of the administrators, which were the civil servants at the time ruling the LA.
Yes.
And I wanted to say to you that perhaps it's no different now. I know you were there when they did the Constitution, but we didn't go far enough to make the LA independent.
Agreed.
We still have the deputy governor running the affairs of the LA and the speaker's hand side.
Yes.
This does not happen in modern day democracies anymore, and I would hope that they certainly do something about it, because if you want to empower Caymanians, that is certainly the way to do so. And I would hope. I know they started to discuss it when I was in the LA, but some of the members really didn't like it, and also at the time, Stuart Jack was not interested in it. So I think that if you really want an independence of the country, I think in terms of how we empower our own people, that is the first thing that you do. You give the political directorates, who are the locals, the autonomy to be able to handle their own affairs. And I hope that you will talk about it a lot, so that the people themselves see that the hands of the politicians are tied in many respects, especially the Speaker.
Now, Ms. Lucille, being a former member of a legislative assembly, how did you feel about the fact about having the relevant support staff there that could help you with research, that could help you with background information when it came to bills being presented to the Legislative Assembly? You were left to your own devices to do that simply because you weren't provided with that assistance. And I think that is one of the things that the current Speaker of the Legislative Assembly will be looking at in terms of seeking to make the Legislative Assembly an autonomous body.
That in order to do that, you have to extend the precincts of the LA. Right now, they have a car park behind it. In other places in the world, they are really cordoned off. You wouldn't have that sort of thing. And I would think that they would take some of that land and add to the LA and develop libraries and develop places so that the politicians or the representatives can meet their own constituents at the LA. And they can have other people working with them to help them do proper research. And that is really lacking, I must tell you. It was very difficult. We didn't have it at all. And I hope that in this modern Cayman, and we want to be more independent, in so to speak, I hope that we will begin to initiate that sort of thing.
And Ms. Lucille, while I still have you, I'm going to hold you for a while here. Did you hear my comments in relation to the register of electors? And I know that you shared some sentiments in terms of being able to get the register in some form other than just it being by alphabetical order, in order of surname. And it was very difficult for candidates to be able, unless they were able to put that in a spreadsheet and do it themselves, that they were unable to get that information. What is your feeling about that still?
Yes, I'd like to see it extended a bit. I don't understand the data protection. I'd like to see male and female there. Because sometimes people have the same name. And you don't have it. You don't you are not able to know whether that person is male or that person is female. But it was difficult getting information on people unless you went to their house. I'm not sure that I would wish to have a very personal information on people. Cayman is a small place, and if you get a good group of people to help you, you can get information. But there's some information that the politicians should be able to get. But that should be left. I think the people themselves should say so. I'm not saying that they should take it to the House and discuss it and so.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people should say if they want to give up their information. At the end of the day, how do you a politician best serves you? The politician best serves you by you having access to them or they having access to you. If you don't have access to them and you don't be able to get them or get their proper address or get their phone number or even a WhatsApp or something, or even I do believe that they could have what we call the fixed line. I do believe that could be added if you think about it, because it is very difficult sometimes. And the other thing too, traveling and visiting people with the locked gates and all the dogs and all the things, you can hardly get to people now. It's very difficult.
Yes.
I found it in the last time that I ran. I found it very difficult to get to people because of some of these, what you call gated communities.
Yes.
How do you get to them? How do you meet? You need to get to the constituents. But the constituents themselves, I think now that they have the constituency divided, I think you could ask the people if they really want, how much of their information they want to give up. I don't know if that has answered what you want.
That is a good idea in terms of what people, because I think the most sensitive information on there would have been contact numbers, telephone numbers, and that was for the purpose of election officials needing to contact people to correct information or whatever, and whether or not persons would want that information divulged to candidates or to political parties.
Yes. But if they want the communication to be a two-way street, you're going to have to give out something. It's not just good enough to say, my politician doesn't contact me. My politician doesn't contact me because my politician doesn't have access to my personal information. I found that very difficult.
And one good example of that, recently you see on social media where MLA Ms. Barbara Connolly has been trying to get information from her constituents to get them to provide that in the event there is some sort of disaster where they need to contact people. They need to know those who are more vulnerable in their constituency and how to contact them, and having difficulty with people just providing that information, and that is to ensure their safety and their security.
Well, in other countries in the world, in the Caribbean, the fixed lines is what people have access to. Because let's take for a place like Barbados where they don't have to pay for the fixed lines. I think I'm right by saying that. You have access to that. And surely, I do agree with Ms. Barbara, as a politician, she has to remember the safety and protect the safety of her constituents. So she should have access to their communication, the way they communicate. If it's by WhatsApp or normal fixed lines or just an ordinary phone, then they should give it to her. Now, that also should be protected, and it's not all out to all and sundry. And those are it is a catch-22. But the more information that you can have on your constituents, the better relationship that you have with them. I've proved that.
Yes.
I've proved that 1,000 times. Because Cayman is not like when me and you grew up, Yep. It is so different.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't see a person for a year, but you can communicate with them by phone. And I would urge the Caymanian people that where the political process is concerned, I think the more information that they can give to their representatives, I think the better a relationship they would have with their representatives. And I have proved that. I can say that loud and clear. If I have access to you, I can call you. I say, oh my, I have to call this person, and I have your info. You know. Now, what do I do with that? I have to keep that to my chest. You understand?
Yes.
Because of the data protection. But I like the fact that you're bringing up political things to make our people aware. Because the more political aware you are, the better you are as a citizen.
Yep.
And my mother taught me that. So and politics is not just about negative things.
Yes.
It's about the whole question of having your say. You know, how do you aid in the development of the country? And the more the people can talk positively to you about how they would like to see their country, I think the better a country we would be. I think we have to be very careful of how we may say and how we discriminate to the point, especially on radio. I've heard some things, OC, that I really wouldn't want people to think that we feel that way. You know, Cayman has 120 nationalities now. We have to make sure that they acclimate into this society. That if they want to be us, that the Caymanian people and the government have different activities to acclimate and bring the people so that we all become Caymanians. And I'm not thinking as another nationality. I'm thinking as a Caymanian, and that we get closer together. And unless we do that, we are going to always have this acrimony, this feeling that us and them, and that's not good for the country. It certainly isn't.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Lucille. I want to thank you for such a great conversation. We're going to take a break now. We have one caller on hold. When we return, we will take that caller. Please stay tuned.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly! And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
The following is a public service announcement. The Council of the Justices of the Peace Association is pleased to advise the public that general document signing services will be provided 3 days a week in the front lobby of the Government Administration Building. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 noon, the following services will be provided by volunteer justices: witnessing a signature on an authentic document, certifying a document as a true copy of the original once the original has been provided, witnessing a signature and completing the portion on a Cayman Islands or British passport application, including acknowledging that the photo provided is a true likeness. Please note, a JP must have known the passport applicant for no less than 2 years before signing the application. Identification cards must be presented, and persons seeking the services of the justices must ensure that proper attire is worn when visiting the Government Administration Building.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have one caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Wolsey. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning, and yourself?
Not too bad, Thankful for another day. It's a beautiful day, though.
It is?
I want to bring something to the attention of the listening public and to the churches mainly.
Okay.
I had the experience, this is about 4 times now, of visiting the mental unit at the hospital. And while I was there, it was a friend of ours was there, and also a family member.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to hide. It's a disease that you don't wish on yourself. It happens. And I was wondering if we're full of churches, bar church. And I was wondering if they could not go and visit these people. They go in the main hospital. They go to medical ward. They go to the critical ward, and the surgical. But I don't see anybody going. I was up there up until yesterday evening. Anybody going there and having a little church service or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then another thing. I'm not saying it's the staff fault. No, they're just employees. They don't have pillows. The pillows are so thin that you can nearly see through them. You have to take your own pillow, or if it's members there that you know, carry them pillows. And I was sitting down in the dining lounge area and talking to an elderly lady that you wouldn't think is anything wrong with her because she could hold a conversation just as well as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And on the TV, it was a violent movie going on. 2 people, two youngsters. At the time being, I believe they have 4 youngsters. When I say youngsters, I mean young people there. And one of them were covering their eyes, and the other one came in and looked and said, "Oh, no, this is not for me." So I got up and I went and spoke to the nurse on duty at the time being.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Should we have this sort of violent thing on TV going for these people?" The nurse on duty looked at me and says, "That's a fact of life."
Wow.
And did not move out of the chair that they were sitting. They just spun around in that chair when they even have to talk to the patients there. It is nothing there to make them say, "Well, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to get well." It's no books. And that's the kind of entertainment. And we're paying these people to take care of our people that need that kind of help. And that was the answer I got. So I thought I'll let the public know. I also want to see churches, even if they have to rotate it, go and have little meetings like how we used to have cottage meeting many years ago, OC. You know that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Have meetings with these people. Talk to them. I hear about a program that is going on, and I went in the time that it was supposed to be programs going on. I haven't seen it yet. But you see, nobody talks to them. They just lock them away there, feed them up on medication. Dr. Lockhart is trying his very best to get a decent mental facility. I don't think he's having much luck because it is so many people that need that help. Young people, like I say, I was shocked to see the amount of young people. I spoke to one girl, she was just 18. I spoke to another young boy, he was just 19. I mean, come on. This is the way that Cayman is going, because we're full of other different nationalities and following in their tracks? I want to know that, like I said, churches, pastors, ministers, most of the churches are locked up all week long until a Sunday morning, and they start talking about the debt that is owed in that church. They're in the red.
Caller, do you know whether or not we have a patient advocacy system at the hospital? Many medical institutions do have representatives, individuals there who help to represent the rights of patients who you could go to and register a complaint similar to what you have in that regard. Do we know if such a thing exists at our government hospital?
I don't know, OC. I really don't know. And at the time being, when I spoke to the nurse on duty, I got so mad. I end up saying, listen, I'm not one of your patients, but they should not be looking at this sort of violence. I tell you, it was horrible. But we as Caymanians are not speaking up for these people. They're not. They're in there because they're sick. They're in there because they have a disease. So let's do better for our people. And listen to me, it's not the foreigner that is in there, you know. It's our own Caymanians, young people. So what has happened to all this Christianity? Or that is only on a weekend thing. All this Christianity and tapping ourselves in the chest and saying we're a Christian island. That's not so. It used to be. It used to be. That's gone out of the window with the wind.
Okay.
It's other things I would like to say, OC, in my opinion, but I think I better leave it. That's not concerning the mental health nor our hospital.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much for that. One of our listeners has written in and said that they want to ask the following questions. They actually wanted to ask these questions on Friday, but they didn't get an opportunity to. First question is, if a foreign woman gets Caymanian status through marriage to a Caymanian husband who has both a Cayman Islands passport and a British passport, can she apply for a British passport through marriage to him also? She has no family connections in Cayman, so she is able to obtain naturalization through him also. Ultimately, they want to move to England to work and live. I heard a brief mention of registration, but did not know what that entails. Can you clarify, please? Okay, under the British Nationality Act, well, let's take the question in the order that it was posed. So if a foreign woman gets Caymanian status through marriage to a Caymanian husband who has both a British passport and a Cayman Islands passport, apply for a British passport through marriage. Well, the person can't apply for a passport until they're registered or naturalized as a British citizen. There are provisions in the British Nationality Act for registration of a person married to a British citizen, but also that individual, if she herself becomes naturalized as a British Overseas Territory citizen, would then also later on have the ability to apply for British citizenship through registration. So more than being through the husband, she can do it on her own, but first has to be naturalized as a British Overseas Territories citizen. Just by being married to a British citizen will not be sufficient in order for you to claim British citizenship. It is a part of it, but not the only part of it as well. We have to take a break for headline news at 9 o'clock. When I return, I will read out the other questions and try to provide answers as well for this listener. Please stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Police are investigating thefts of items from local beaches. 3 arrests have been made and 2 have been charged. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service says over the past 2 weeks, officers have responded to a number of thefts from beaches where people have gone into the water and left their belongings on shore, which are then stolen. A man walked into a Toronto street firing a handgun into restaurants and cafes, shooting 14 people and killing 2 before dying after an exchange of gunfire with police. Police Chief Mark Saunders did not rule out terrorism as a motive, although officials did not immediately identify the attacker, other than to say he was 29 years old. And the U.S. Coast Guard is scheduled today to begin the retrieval of a duck boat that sank while carrying tourists on a southern Missouri lake during powerful winds, killing 17. Divers are expected to swim down to ride the duck's boat and connect it to a crane, which will lift it to the surface. Retrieval efforts are expected to start this hour. The boat went down Thursday night in Table Rock Lake on the edge of a tourist town after a thunderstorm generated near hurricane-strength winds. The boat is submerged in about 80 feet of water. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record. With Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have no guests in the studio this morning, but we have lots of correspondence from our listeners. We have no callers. And if we do get a call at this point, I'm going to put them on hold because I want to continue with these callers' questions because they have been extremely patient, waiting since Friday to get these questions answered. The other question was, if their marriage breaks up, that is a marriage of a non-Caymanian to Caymanian, and divorce comes, would she lose her Caymanian status? And the other question is, what could cause loss of or revocation of Caymanian status for anyone? And I will refer the writer to Section 27, subsection 1 of our immigration law, which states that the right to be Caymanian granted by the board may be lost under these circumstances. A, where the holder has supplied false or misleading information in a material or particular to the board. B, where the holder has ordinarily resided outside the islands for a period of 5 years and can no longer be said to be settled in the islands. C, and this is answers the question in relation to the marriage one, where the marriage of the holder, being the spouse of a Caymanian, is deemed by the board to have been a marriage of convenience. Or D, where within 3 years of the grant to the spouse of a Caymanian of the right to be Caymanian under this or any earlier law, the marriage of the holder, in the opinion of the board or the chief immigration officer, has broken down, or the marriage of the holder has declined to the point where the parties have separated as a result of a decree of a competent court or a deed of separation, or if the marriage no longer subsists, that is for any other reason. So the loss by virtue of marriage would be if it is a marriage of convenience, and there are those who say that all marriages are marriages of convenience because it's usually convenient for one party or the other to marry the other, and be them Caymanian or non-Caymanian, that all marriages are marriages of convenience. If within 3 years of the grant of Caymanian status to a person who's married to a Caymanian, within 3 years of that marriage, in the opinion of the board or the chief immigration officer, the marriage has been broken down, or if there is a decree of a competent court of a deed of separation, or no longer exists. So those are conditions under which maybe status may be lost. And then there's another section, the whole of the right to be Caymanian by entitlement under this law or any or under any analogous provisions in an earlier law may lose the right where he has not been legally an ordinary resident in the islands for a period of 7 years immediately before reaching the age of 18. That's one that is being dealt with now or has been dealt with in amendments to our immigration law, and shall notify the chief immigration officer forthwith of the relevant circumstances involving his legal and ordinary residence in the island, and willful failure to do so is an offense. And it also says that the board may, by order, divest any person who has been granted the right to be Caymanian under Section 22 or Caymanian status under any earlier law or of such right if it is satisfied the grant was obtained by means of fraud, false representation, or in the concealment of a material fact respect of any or order. And so there are many provisions in relation to the loss of Caymanian status. I think that basically covers it. There is one section that people keep asking about, whether or not a person who has been granted status by cabinet, like for instance in the 2003 grants, whether or not they can lose that status as well. Section 28, subsection 1 of the immigration law says, where the grantee of the right to be Caymanian or of Caymanian status under this or any earlier law is convicted by any court in the islands or elsewhere of an offense for which he is sentenced to an immediate term of imprisonment of 12 months or more, other than for non-payment of a fine, and in respect of which conviction his right of appeal have been exhausted, or which, in the opinion of the grantor, was made possible by, facilitated by, or connected with the grant, the grantor may revoke the grant on his own motion. So convictions under this law or any previous law where it has been granted to that person as opposed to having it by operation of law. So if it's been granted by the board, it can be revoked on conviction. So those of you who got it in 2003 and you are convicted and sentenced to an immediate term of imprisonment of 12 months or more, other than for non-payment of a fine, you can lose your status. And I'm seeing some names showing up. I saw one of I won't call a name, of a realtor who appears to have been, was convicted in court of stealing money from a client. I don't know whether or not that person got status under the 2003 grants, but what was interesting in terms of dates was the fact that he started in the realtor business in 2003. He could only become a realtor at that stage in 2003 if he possessed Caymanian status? Is there any connection, any coincidence or otherwise between the 2003 grants and that individual's ability to start as a realtor in the Cayman Islands? So notice is out there to you, all of you who may have received status grants through the cabinet. You go out there and you do bad and you're convicted, you can lose your Caymanian status. Of course, the whole dilemma with that is that there is the possibility that those persons who obtain Caymanian status, based on the fact that they got Caymanian status, they would then become naturalized as a British Overseas Territory citizen in possession of a Cayman Islands passport, so they could lose their Caymanian status but still have their Caymanian passport and be a British Overseas Territory citizen. During my lifetime, during my time on this earth, so my short time on this earth so far, I would say call 6 to 7 years a short period of time on this earth, and I'm blessed and I'm happy for every minute that I've been able to spend on this earth. But I have seen persons, holders of Cayman Islands passports, but not possessing the right to reside permanently in these islands, deported. So that is a possibility as well. Now there will be legal, constitutional, human rights arguments in that regard, but it can happen, and we have to ensure that we retain some of those powers for our authorities in the Cayman Islands, because when we find bad apples amongst us, those apples that we have allowed to be in our basket, when we find those bad apples, we need to be able to get rid of those apples as well. So again, I trust that I have answered that person's questions in relation to Caymanian status. Go back over it. What could cause the loss or revocation of Cayman status for anyone, and I've pointed those out in relation to Section 27. I've also pointed out that after 3 years of marriage, if the marriage is broken down, the person can lose their Caymanian status as well. And as far as the British passport is concerned, the process of registration has to take place if you're already a British Overseas Territories citizen in the instance that this writer has, the example that this writer has given to us. I have another, I'm going to try to paraphrase this as well. It says, "Good morning, Mr. Conn. As usual, you're doing an exceptional job in bringing information to the public. I would love to one day see you." Oh, no, I won't talk about that. That part. You want to see me as a member of the Legislative Assembly or the Premier. We'll pass that. It says, from the last election, the way are as broken down in lists in constituency, it became easy to find persons and much political corruption was done. Would definitely love to see electronic voting with given receipts. So this person is saying the way that the lists were broken down by constituencies, I guess it made it more easy for people to be identified, which meant that easier to get to people. We just need to get rid of the subtle ways that we have in the Cayman Islands, the white goods, the refrigerators, the topsoil, the loads of marl, and all of those things. We need to get rid of those in our whole campaign and election process. Then the person points out the Cubans, I believe, they all should be let out with electronic monitoring, allow them to get employment through work permits like any other foreigners. I would point out to the writer that there are several Cuban nationals here in the Cayman Islands who come here on work permits. There are many Cuban nationals here with Caymanian connections who were repatriated to the Cayman Islands in the 70s and the 80s as well. And I had an opportunity to listen to another talk show after 9:30 in the morning in my vehicle, and I heard them struggling with this whole issue of Cubans in the Cayman Islands, and unfortunately the moderator of that show was not able, maybe due to age or whatever, but was not able to identify the fact that we did repatriate people with Caymanian connections from Cuba, mainly Isle of Pines, in the 70s as well as the 80s as well. Have to take a commercial break. When we return, we'll have 15 more minutes of talk time. If you want to talk, please call in, because after 15 minutes, I'll be gone. Please stay tuned.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This July at Kirk Home Center, start your summer renovations with Skills Circular Saw for $87.49. Stack and organize clothes, shoes, and home decor with Supreme's adjustable shelving units starting at $21.30. Get your green thumb going with a gardening window box perfect for growing herbs for $8.99. And get rid of weeds with 1 gallon of lawn weed killer concentrate for $19.99.
Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Initiating system.
For information that matter, For the Record with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have no phone calls, and I have lots to talk about. And Miami Herald, yesterday's newspaper, article entitled, Cuba Once Made Life Hard for Gays. Now it's on a path to allowing same-sex marriage. I'm going on a topic here that some people find taboo in the Cayman Islands, but a topic that needs to be discussed. It needs to be discussed publicly because we have a constitution that, while it states that marriage is between one man and a woman and one woman, that also seeks to provide protection for all who inhabit these islands. So while that constitution may discriminate to a certain extent when it comes to marriage, it also seeks to protect others. It's almost a dilemma, in terms of, how in the world can it do both? It's not allowing same-sex marriages, but it seeks to protect everyone who inhabit these islands. Anyway, the article says, as Cuba enters a new era with a modern constitution, acclaimed Cuban writer and ethnographer Miguel Barnes said Sunday that it is time to break with the past and endorse a constitutional change that will allow same-sex marriage on the island. And he's quoted as saying, if you need to break with tradition, you break. We need to listen to that, and we need to observe that here in the Cayman Islands as well, Barnett said, during a Cuban National Assembly debate on a draft of a new constitution for the island. In socialism, no type of discrimination between human beings exists, said the National Assembly deputy and author of Biography of a Runaway Slave. I am in favor of Article 68 of the new Constitution. Love has no sex. But that wasn't the prevailing attitude towards marriage or gay people in the early years of the revolution, when Cuba was a homophobic nation and many gays, mostly men, were sent to labor camps for re-education. Article 68 of the new draft Constitution, which must be submitted to the Cuban people for consultation, and I said that earlier, before a final version is approved by the National Assembly, defines marriage as the consensual union between two people regardless of gender. The 1976 Constitution, which is currently in effect, defines marriage as a voluntary union between a man and woman, with the goal of building a life in common with equal rights and duties for both spouses. So we see a change taking place in Cuba. Of all the places where some of us may not have expected that to happen, it will take place in Cuba. People of the Cayman Islands, we need to start discussing this, because we have our own Caymanians who find themselves in that situation and who should not be forced to live elsewhere because of their sexuality. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC number one from the block.
Morning, number one. How are you doing?
Oh, my headache is easing down.
Good, good.
Listen, I just want to say this. God made man and he made woman. If he had made two men or two women, none of us would be here today talking. We don't need no same-sex here. Tell Cuba, America, England, whoever it was wanted, keep it out there. Cayman Island government on a fight about records and things where England want to get more companies, make sure to fight about this too and keep the Cayman Island clean. That's my saying, sir, not you.
Thank you very much, number one, for that. And I would just say that God not only made man and woman, he made human beings. Human beings. He just, there is a distinction between them. But every single individual, if you believe in the Christian faith, if you believe that there is a God, every single person who exists on this earth was made by God in his own wisdom. And some may say that some came out perfect and some came out imperfect. They are all made by God. What you can't do is you can't take those that we consider, some that, I shouldn't say we, I won't include myself in that some may consider imperfect. You can't take them and send them back to the manufacturer. You can't take them and send them to the repair shop and say, I have problem with this carburetor, I have problem with this ignition, let's do something about it. God made all human beings, all human beings. Any calls, Miss Susan? No calls at all. So, Jamaica, I did point out a few shows ago the fact that I believe Jamaica had issued 5,000 odd work permits in a particular year, and it seems as if less than 24 work permits for plumbers have been issued to foreigners in Jamaica. So not only the Cayman Islands are feeling the bite of their own tick, Jamaica is feeling the bite of their own tick as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
surprised at what I'm hearing on the radio here now.
Yeah?
The fact you say that there is a Jewish nation that is considering doing it. But I always thought Cayman was a Christian country. And if they want to go by the Bible and the human nature, in all animal kingdom, there's more females than males. But I don't see two females, two males in the animal kingdom. In the Old Testament, when they say the Bible that they follow, a lot of men had more than one wife, but it was laws against committing adultery. Now they're saying you can't have more than one wife, go and get a couple of girlfriends, commit adultery. Now the laws against sodomy, in fact, is the abomination of desolation. Now they're saying they're right for man to have sex with another man, commit sodomy, against nature, against the Bible. So if you're continuing with it, just say something, do not say anymore that Cayman is a Christian country.
We're Christian when we want to be. We're Christian when we want to be. When it's when it's convenient.
In the churches are preaching it, and they're reaching the same Bible that they talk about, right? It is abomination and desolation which you see in these last days, right? Now don't tell me about human rights, because if they got a right for man to marry a woman, why don't I have the right if I want to marry two women? Is that the same my sexual preference too?
Well, I think we probably have to take these in increments. Let's get across the first hurdle, and then let's deal with the other hurdle after that. Caller, I'm going to ask you to leave us there because we have one more caller that we're going to try to accommodate before the 9:30 end of this show. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Just fine. Just a question here, Chin, a little bit.
Sure.
This public register, two questions. Public register that Great Britain will be demanding of us by edict, I guess, or in council call. Would that include the local businesses also? By that I mean those that are not involved, let's say, in the financial world. Just the businesses, the supermarkets, the other businesses, contractors, and every like that, locally registered. Would that also be applied to them?
I believe that it would apply to any business that falls under the registrar of companies that is registered with them. That's the entity that holds all of the government records. So that would be available. I don't think that it makes any distinction as to whether or not the business is foreign owned or not. I could be wrong, but I don't think it does.
Yeah, the other question is this. Because these things need to be explained to people, and something of such seriousness was saying we'd amend the Constitution. And I don't believe we need to have a referendum to amend it. People made different things. I do not think so. I think that's why we have elected people. Serious things are amended by other countries that they did not do a referendum. The other thing is this. Would you say our government, our legislative system is a unicameral system now? Well, the only other chamber would be the British governor here, since they don't sit in it. But would you say it's unicameral?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would consider it to be unicameral.
And are there any all the other colonies, British colonies, are they the same, unicameral, or do they have...
Bermuda has a bicameral legislature. It has a Senate as well as... the lower house has an upper and a lower house.
Oh, yes, and they're all voted in by election, or
no, sir.
We had them.
The Senate, they're made by appointments.
Like when we were bicameral, it
was
the same thing with the pieces.
Yes, sir.
That's what I really wanted to know. Those two things, but I really think we need much more discussion with the people as to why the public register is such a serious thing, because some people might not think it is so. believe me, some people might not think it is some serious thing that is serious to bring Cayman down or so. I don't know. I think it needs more discussion. And a long time ago, we should have been explaining to our citizens in particular, what the financial world is all about. Because believe me, many people think it's a different world. It's something that we don't know. It's a secret world.
Yeah, I agree with you that, Colin. One of the reasons that I agree with you with that is because here we believe that it is going to affect financial services more than anything else. But at the same time, the people who are voters and who may have to make a decision about this should know about what it's all about as well. You're absolutely right with that.
I just think because there's a cloud of sort of secrecy that we don't remember the old song Andy Martin made about secret conference time when he had the Englishman had to be hurrying to secret conference time when you're serving him gas at Delaware. Yeah, and it was. They used to call it that. I remember very well 40-odd years ago, the secret conference. So I think with this shroud of secrecy that continues to this day, and people just don't know what is there about it that's so secretive that people can't know, or what is it really that's being done? You know, what do they really do? It sounds a stupid question, but many people are asking this. What do they really do?
Caller?
Have a wonderful day, sir. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
very much.
brother.
Thank you very much. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension for the record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12 noon, 12:15, really, for talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.